Welcome to Zwina Foundation and welcome to Zwina Stories, our podcast where we share stories of meaningful change, impact, and youth empowerment. In today's episode, we are trying something new. We're going to talk about the role of youth leadership in shaping meaningful impact, but also the importance of giving people a real voice in shaping the world around them. And for that, we have a very special guest speaker here with us. Welcome, Fenna Timsi.
Thank you. Thanks so much for the invitation.
We're very happy that you're here with us to give our audience a bit of an overview for your background. So, Fenna represented the Dutch National Youth Council at the United Nations. She was also an activist with Amnesty International. Did a lot of studies in physics, philosophy, political science, and also a minor in international relations and management, and is now also a candidate for the City Council in The Hague, representing human rights, youth voices, and also progressive local politics. So, welcome here. Thank you so much once again for giving us this opportunity to talk a bit about impact and youth impact, especially. So, you moved a lot between science, education, youth advocacy, which is absolutely impressive. Congratulations. What experiences shaped your desire to create impact in society?
Yes. Well, I grew up here in The
Mm-hmm.
Hague. I grew up in the Stationsbuurt. It's a very diverse neighborhood, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad is from Algeria and my mom is Dutch. So I grew up in a very, yeah, like I grew up within a family where there were so many different languages spoken,
Yes.
so much diversity. Um, and I feel that it really enriched my life. I got so many life lessons from that, and I love this diversity. But then also when I was looking through the city, when I was
Mm-hmm.
biking, of course the city is also the Hague of peace and justice, the International
Yes.
Criminal Court, as you know about
Yes.
International Court of
Yes.
Justice. And then I thought, how in the city of peace and justice, where we have so much diversity, so many stories from people all over the world, is there still so much inequality? Are people still so segregated? So I would bike through the neighborhood and I would see, for example, the homeless shelter,
Mm-hmm.
the shelter where people with addiction would go. And I remember as a kid, like once looking also at the ICJ, and I thought, okay, this is a place for justice,
Yeah.
but it shouldn't only be in these institutions, you know. Justice should be all around us.
All over.
And exactly. And then also, you know, I thought how I really wanted, yeah, also us youth to have a future. So decided to study physics and to do. I wanted to work on sustainable solutions. I wanted to
Okay,
work on
wow.
something like, okay, well, we see that the world is being kind of murdered by a lot of 80-year-old teenagers. Well,
Very well said.
yeah, exactly. Maybe we should do something about it, you know? So I
Yeah.
wanted to study sustainable solutions. And then during my studies, I also realized that, you know, the solutions are not just technical, you know?
Mm-hmm.
They are political as well. And they have to also come from social movements. So that's why I started to join Amnesty for a campaign, which was called Let's Talk About Yes. And it was about changing the rape legislation in the
Okay.
Netherlands. So it was basically because, well, you're also a young woman, you know, like
Yeah.
I always also growing up, much violence around me against women, so much unseen violence, so many women thinking that this was normal, you know.
Mm-hmm. It's normalized. The violence is normalized.
Exactly. And then I remembered that there was a report from Ipsos, and 1 in 9 female students got raped. And then this was shocking to me because I saw it around me, you know, but then to see it like in numbers and that it was such a like structural thing. So then I like put a message like, people, we have to do something about this. Like, let's get organized, you know. And then I joined Amnesty for the campaign to change the rape legislation, and yeah, that was kind of where I think my from
You start,
science
yeah,
to
from science
social
to
side.
socials to
Exactly.
politics to
Yeah.
sounds amazing. Wow. But was there, because you talked a bit about, seeing around the institutions, the people, was there a specific moment when you realized that young people can also actually influence the systems or the institutions
Yeah.
around us?
Yes, definitely. I
Yeah,
think that's why
me
I'm
too.
still here, in like politics and
Yeah.
everything. Um, I remember, for example, during the campaign that we did to
Hmm.
change the law, we were with so many young people that sometimes had like 1 hour, like
Hmm.
1 hour a week to
Yeah.
do something,
True.
like to make a post or to I don't know, like we had no money for we had no budget. We had like I remember that we were organizing like events
Hmm.
to create awareness and to be like, okay, people have to sign our petition, our manifesto, we have to get organized. And then we had like events, for example, where we would like, for example, we did a documentary, and then we would, for
Oh.
example, ask the neighbors of the place that we even got to do a documentary, for example, for free, because the
Yeah.
people were helping us, and then
Yeah.
we had to get like the power from them. So then I thought like, this is actually so funny because we always think about change as something extremely big, right? Like something like,
Yes.
oh, the whole world has to change all at once. But for me, this showed real change. It happens from small moments of solidarity. It happens from like a lot of young people that had decided to spend 1 hour of their time in a week on something they care about, something they're
Hmm.
passionate about. And it also happens from the neighbor saying, hey,
Yes.
you can use my socket for your documentary. It happens from the local shop saying, you can use my space.
Hmm.
And together, also because I'm a physicist, like
Yeah.
just by yourself, you're just drops of water, right? But together you can actually make a wave. And
Hmm.
it worked. We saw that the law changed. And for me, this was a moment like, okay, things are not so set in stone as we sometimes think. But it has
Hmm.
to come from us, the youth, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. I think this kind of connects a bit with what I wanted to ask next, because many young people, they do want to make a difference. They
Mm-hmm.
have maybe projects in or ideas, but they they sometimes feel overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You know. So I was about to ask you what helped you turn your motivation into action, but I think part of this story is also coming with your answer, like just seeing the people around you that actually, like, yeah, you can use my power. You can use
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really solidarity. For example,
Hmm.
like after this, I became the youth representative to the
I
United
think
Nations
yeah.
on human rights and security. And um, I remember there, like, so for example, like the United Nations, it also feels very far away for people, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
you probably also encounter this in your work. And so then we really thought at the beginning, okay, we have to represent the people. We have to
Hmm.
represent the young people in the Netherlands. How we're going to do this, we have to represent, like, really go to the communities that are the least heard.
Yes.
Because if we're not reaching them, if our politics is not about them, then what is it about?
Yeah.
We have to make sure that we make our politics way more human, about humans, about the people, and make sure that it's about their emancipation. And so what we did, we went to a lot of different places in the Netherlands, like all
Hmm.
over the country. So I got to like
Yeah.
really, really experience the Netherlands through the eyes of young people. It was beautiful. We went to a lot of childcare, like a lot of
Hmm.
vocational institutions, universities,
Yeah.
schools, protests, juvenile even. And what I saw there was something that I think will really stay with me. It was people that, for example, they would tell me about discrimination that they faced in life. They
Hmm.
would tell me about not getting a job because of their last name, but because at the beginning, for example, I would say, hey, I'm Fenna from the UN,
Yeah.
and then sometimes people were like, oh, politics, I don't want to talk about
Yeah.
it. Like what you were
Exactly.
describing, like feeling hopeless, like no
Yeah.
trust anymore. And then when you really ask them, okay, what is bothering you in life? And for
Yeah.
example, this young person told me it's discrimination. I'm trying to get an
Yeah.
internship and I get rejected for everything, for even a unpaid job.
Yeah.
So like, what is my position
Yeah.
then? And and we talked and we listened, and I said, this is also about your rights, also
Mm-hmm.
about your human rights. And then I remember also this person also being like, this is actually the first time actually someone asked me for my opinion
And listen
and
and
listened.
yeah.
And then I also thought this is what it should be about, politics. It should be about listening, making it about the people, um, and connecting,
Yeah.
connecting the stories, translating it. So I think this still gives me motivation because I believe in
Mm-hmm.
this, and I believe in also really the power of the people.
Yes.
Um, and yeah, I think it should be way more about the humans and the people
Yeah.
instead of
Just the titles or just the job or getting a
exactly
position. Yeah.
not about the prestige so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
really like how you said at some point to make it more human, more. I think that's kind of boils down to everything that you're trying to do and what young people in general are trying to do. But you've worked closely, clearly, with a lot of youth communities internationally as well, but also all over the Netherlands. What do you think are the biggest concerns maybe that young people nowadays have, like regardless if they go into politics, into
Mm-hmm.
business, like
Yeah.
what what hearing from them, in their experience, what's something that like, oh, I'll do this, but I can't, of course, because of discrimination or something else.
Mm-hmm.
What's something that comes up a lot?
So something that comes up a lot is housing. I mean, it's something that I hear a lot, like a lot of young people that don't have a house. Like even, for
Yeah.
example, young people that come out of childcare, one
Hmm.
fourth of them becomes homeless. And there's a lot of people in like like very vulnerable positions that they end up on the street. Um, but even like also a lot of like young people that I met, like also students, they are also basically homeless, but for example, staying at a friend,
Yeah.
or they have to like move from couch to couch for years sometimes. So this is something that I hear a lot, and that I think yeah, we should really, really do something about by also building way more social housing,
Hmm.
really tackling like empty spaces and offices that are not being used. Because there you see again like how also the housing became a market instead of a place for people to live,
Yeah.
So this is again, if you're really centering the people,
Yeah.
this would not have happened.
Of
So
course.
I think that is one task that we really that we have on our plates right now.
Hmm.
And something else that I also hear a lot from young people as well, I have heard a lot, is also yeah, their wish for peace. Their
Hmm.
wish for peace in the world, their wish for peace in communities, and the concept of peace. I think it's something that also feels very far away sometimes, like
Yeah.
with all the wars that are going on. But sometimes I think it's also even like in our neighborhoods, how um how far away we can be from each other. Like if I think like the task for our us as youth,
Yeah.
maybe,
Yeah.
I think it's building a peaceful world from solidarity,
Hmm.
from different parts of the world, from different neighborhoods. And I think, the city of The Hague, it's a perfect place for this,
Yeah.
right? Um that's something that I hear a lot. And it's like in the small things, it's about like also even your favorite community center being like taken away from you,
Yeah.
and there comes another, I don't know, like another big company,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I think this is really the task for us, and also something that I've heard a lot is also women's rights. So yeah, I mean, obviously, also I worked in it
Yeah.
quite a lot, but I do think it's something that we have to continuously keep fighting for. Like for example, one of the conferences that I used to go to a lot, it was Commission on Status of Women.
Hmm.
It's in New York, and all countries come together, and we negotiated about a declaration on about women's rights. And now, for example,
Yeah.
it just ended. Now it was the first year that they couldn't decide all the countries together. It was the first year that they had to do it by vote.
Hmm.
So I mean, this is very far away,
Yeah.
but like, how does this translate in the street? I think it's that you see a lot of things that we thought that they were given, like
Yeah.
emancipation of women, like women's safety, like I
Mm-hmm.
have heard so many stories of women that they were even attacked on the street by wearing hijab, for example, like if we're talking about intersectionality and those kind of things,
Yeah.
it's that,
Yeah.
so I think also in that part it's important that we keep fighting, make sure that on all levels we um, look from the perspective of voices that are underrepresented, because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise how are we going to expect the
Exactly.
choices and the change to be actually meaningful?
Exactly. And this is something that us as Zwina really want to keep pushing forward and forward, like the voices of the vulnerable groups,
Yeah,
the youth, and in uh, more and more, and I would like to link this to what you said. It's at the end of the day, even for us, it's okay, the impact, but also the community,
yes,
because
yes,
eh,
exactly.
how successful can that impact be if the community is also not successful? So
Yes,
a successful community would automatically give you an impact, either it being huge and helping so many people, or just one, two, three people. It's still something for us.
exactly, exactly. This is very important, I think. And also, like I've worked a bit also then in development sector,
Mm-hmm.
and there you also see like what happens if, for example, the difference between coming somewhere to a community
Yeah.
and being like, okay, I'm going to help you and you're going to be dependent on me, but
Yes.
there's also another strategy, where you, for example, have an exit strategy where you're like, okay, I'm not going to like make this community dependent on me
And then
forever.
just leave.
Exactly, and so I think it's really important to think how change it can come, also like you can work together with a community that it is also something that can be sustainable. So
Mm-hmm.
what are the structures that like are being in like being in, being put into place? So for example,
Yes.
like when you think like you can think about this on like international level, like to think like, okay, is it something that's really from like the community itself, bottom
Yeah.
up? Is there a structure that actually works? And like for example, for local level, you can also think like, why don't we have actually something to say about our own street, like
Mm-hmm.
why is it, you said right that like
Yeah.
politics feels far away, people feel like they don't have hope. I think the key is to make sure that there is a way, like we um, renew our ways
Mm-hmm.
and really rethink, or also like how do we make a true democracy, how.
Yes.
And I think that's also on local level, is to make sure that there's youth councils, that are actually keeping people
Yeah.
accountable. And for example, on international level, I think it's also definitely about this, to make sure that people can have a say
Yeah.
in the world that they're living in.
Yeah, and not constantly depend on anyone. I think this is
Yeah.
something that our audience, especially if you watch the second episode where we explain the Morocco project,
Mm.
this is exactly what Zwina had in mind when we went to
Yeah.
Morocco. We don't
Yes.
just go there, do the project, and then
Yeah.
we're out and it's on them. Like the whole idea was like, okay, we're making impact, but it has to be sustainable impact.
Yeah.
We have to make sure that once we leave, those people go on with the project, and it becomes part of the community, part of their lives, and they can help each other.
Yes, that's beautiful.
So we also did this as a students, young people. But let's say if a young person wants to start a project, an impactful
Mm-hmm.
project that improves their community, what are the first three steps that you would recommend?
Well, the first three steps. I think first of all, I kind of see people as there was once the special representative on religion.
Okay.
She once said to me this really beautiful quote, like it's from Zen Buddhism, and it's like people are a bit like diamonds. So the more facets you have, like the more you will shine.
Hmm.
And I really believe in this. I really think like people have some kind of like infinity in themselves. And I think as a young person, it's kind of the stage in your life where you're trying to discover that in yourself. Like, what are my
Yes.
passions? What are the things I care about? What are the things that um, I want to change, you know? So I think, first of all, it's about really finding what you care about. So, for example, for me, it started with changing the law,
Yes.
but maybe not everybody is so nerdy, like that's completely fine,
You choose your own
yeah.
first step.
Yeah, and I think for everybody it's something different. So I think step one is trying a lot of things. So, I keep trying every day, like 1,000 things, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So I think in this there is a certain type of curiosity, yeah, that I think is important to find within yourself. So maybe that as a first step, like kind of to activate your inner curiosity.
Be curious, try things. We like to always say that we build a plane while flying it, but also we're ready to fail, because if we don't fail, then
Exactly.
I don't think we're doing the right thing.
Yes, exactly. And then yeah, so the second thing, I think it's also really finding your allies, like we never, like, if we're just by ourselves, we're gonna be like eaten by all these big institutions and everything. Like, the thing that we have is each other. There's so many like what I said, like 80-year-old toddlers. So that have kind of given up on the world, to be honest. So I think the only thing that we, like, not the only thing, we have a lot, but one of the things that we have, I think it's our love, kind of, as an answer to that.
Yeah.
And I think you can always find that within other people, that you can do things that you care about with. So really finding allies. To be honest, when I also was UN youth representative, like, that helped me so much, because I was a young independent, like, advisor, like, in the government. And yeah, I wasn't always on the same page as the government. Like,
Yeah, we
there were a
can
lot of
imagine.
there were a lot of things, like, for example, there, like, so many young people also told me, like, oh, what is happening in Palestine, it's horrible, or a lot of other things. So what helps in these contexts, I think, is always finding your allies. Yeah. Because they're going to help you, they're going to make sure that you're not alone. And it's, I think, the way that, but it's good to really, really identify them. um yeah, I think that would be the next step for me. And I think third step, um of your meaningful project, it's, I think, really finding creativity, I would say, because that's, I think, what young people are really good at.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we are so creative, honestly. Like,
For sure.
like, also, the way I ended up in this podcast, I think it just shows
The way we started the podcast, the
you
way
know?
we
Exactly, it shows creativity. So I think, like, we don't have to mimic always, as young people, the generations before us. We can do our own thing as well.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes the things that worked in in the work that I did, it came from also a crazy idea. Like, really
They're
crazy.
the best.
Exactly.
They're the best.
Exactly. And that's also why I think, I really wish that was that there were a lot of spaces also for young people to try, to experience, to have crazy ideas together. Because, like, a lot of things that
Yes.
are set in stone now, they're going to change, but it has to be us. And sometimes we have to be very bold, I think.
For sure. So you heard it here for the first time from Fenna. You have to try a lot. You have to be curious. You have to have your community and never lose your creativity. Use it to the max, because yeah, without it, we wouldn't be here right now. So, a final question to you.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to the young people that feel like their voice doesn't matter yet? So they know that maybe eventually, when they'll have some huge position or something, yeah, maybe someone will. But like, to the people that want to be heard now, and they think, oh, not yet.
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think when we decide that our voice doesn't matter,
Yeah.
it is a moment where s- powers will win that we really don't want to win. So, there's also a part of the Quran
Mhm.
actually that I think is very powerful. So it is like when you see something like an injustice,
Mhm.
um, you have to change it with an action. When you cannot change it with an action, change it with your speak. And when you cannot change it with your speak, change it with your heart. So I do see it as also our task, it's kind
Mhm.
of, I think, our duty. There's so many people that, like, even this campaign, I spoke to a lot of young people, like, um, there's a lot of people that cannot vote, huh? Like, there's a lot of people also in this country that cannot
Mhm.
vote, that don't have documents,
Yes.
that there's a lot of people being erased actually
Yeah.
from society. So the thing you have is your voice,
Voice.
and the thing you have in this context is your vote, or and I do think that like if you look at history, like I said also, um I have Algerian background, right?
Mhm.
Like Algeria was colonized for 132 years by France. What if all Algerians said, our voice doesn't matter,
Yeah.
the French will never get out?
Mhm.
So this is also what I said about like creativity, right? And like for me, it shows like, okay, the discipline in your creativity you need to have to make sure that after 132 years, you think, okay, we're going to change
Yeah.
this. So that's what I think. Yeah, I think that's why we have to always keep our hope,
Mhm.
always keep. I mean, of course, it's also like very desperate times. I really understand this. But the one thing we do have is our voice, and especially if our voices are united,
In a
as
community full
exactly.
of curiosity.
Yeah, exactly. No, like one, like
Yeah.
I think earth-shaking change can happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do see it as the one thing that cannot be taken away from us. So please, let's not take it away ourselves. Then
Yeah. Yeah. I fully agree. It is one of the things that, yeah, if we not even lose that, if we let it go, because we just think who cares, then
yeah, and I think like then it is up to us and people like me now, like that
Mhm.
running for political position, to make sure that the boundaries for young people are good, so to make sure that
Yeah.
young people can have a house, that young people live safely, to make sure that young people have enough money to
Yeah.
live their life so they don't have to stress the whole day, because this also kills creativity, right? So the boundaries
It's
also
a
have to,
cycle.
yeah, the boundaries also have to really improve, and it's then I think it's up to these people to use their voice.
That was very beautiful said. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We reached the end of our episode. I think we had a very productive discussion, and personally, I learned a lot. I found a lot of new things. Um, Thank you for listening to us. If this episode resonated with you, or you learned something new as well, make sure to like, subscribe to our channel to see the next episode, and vote.
Yeah, you can vote if you have EU passport
Hmm.
or you live here for more than 5 years in the Netherlands.
You heard it, guys. So, just like every other episode, this episode was about the youth, about impact, about um, how we can actually change things and not just wait for them to be changed. Um, until next time, Zwina said hi, and now we say
Goodbye.